Harvesting grapes like these are an important part of the winemaking process, but first it must be determined if they've reached their ideal stage of ripeness before they can be picked.
When we get to a certain point in the summertime, which is now, we look for a certain sugar level. The terminology is Brix, B-R-I-X. And today we're doing Malvasia, and our Brix are right around 22 to 23 Brix. And by the time we get them to our winemaker, they'll probably drop a brick or so. So around 21 to 22 Brix is what we're looking for. When the folks out here picking, they work in teams, and they just move all the way up a row, and then they get another row and they go back. And all they're looking for is these nice big clusters. If you've ever gone to the grocery store, you buy grapes and they're already cut in clusters, and they look, they're nice and big. And we're just cutting off the top so that it falls in your hand and it goes in a bucket. And they just go as quickly as they can. This is a great year for us to do this. There's no birds, there's no bumblebees, there's no rattlesnakes. Those are some of the things that we have to watch for when we're harvesting. And in this case, this is a very nice grape to pick because it's easy to find, easy to clip, big clusters. We look to be about 3 to 4 tons per acre.
Right now we are picking the grapes called Malvasia. It's a young vineyard, probably 4 years old. This machine picks about 1 acre per hour, and we have two shifts, so we work day and night, and we do more or less 12 acres per day. The machine goes over the row and check the row at 600 times per minute, about 1 foot wide. So this shaking makes all the berries fall down. And there is a smart bed turning at the same speed as the machine who collect the berry before they fall on the ground. And just in between there's some vacuum to suck the leaf out. So it's a very simple machine. The problem we had was we spent more time to dump in the truck than to pick in the vineyard. So my son built this fancy trailer, and now we can empty the machine in 1 minute. It used to be 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So we doubled the working harvest time.
Once the grapes are harvested, they will be sent to a processing facility where they will undergo several steps preparing them for the winemaking process.
We start harvesting middle of August, take about till the middle of October. Our semis dump the grapes. They get destemmed. They go into a press for the white grapes, of which was the Malvasia that we brought in today, was pressed. We press it as hard as we can to get the juice out of it. Then we go ahead and put it in stainless steel tanks where we ferment it into wine. We can get that ready in anywhere from 60 to 90 days. We can have it into wine. Then when our reds come in, we take a little bit different process. We put them in a press, and we don't press them near as hard when we let them ferment with the skins and the seeds, which is what gives the wine the color.
Making wine is a science and an art. It's a process that requires a lot of knowledge and experience, but the end result is definitely worth the effort.
There's really about 3 types of techniques that we use. There's our stainless steel tanks, of which all the wines start off in. Depending on the type of wine it is where we move it or we don't move it. So like the Malvasia, which we've been following today, will just stay in that tank its whole life. It'll go from juice to wine and then to the bottling line. For some of our other wines, we will put oak chips in the tank. It's nice because it's less expensive and you can control it better. Every barrel is a little different, whereas oak chips, it's a consistent product. There's actually one more technique called micro-oxygenation. It's a European technique that we've actually brought to the United States, and we've been experimenting with it. Then the other very traditional way is putting it in oak barrels. There's multiple types of oak barrels. The 2 we use are American oak or French oak. The toasts vary from light toast to heavy toast. It's really the winemaker's decision on what type of barrel he wants to use for that type of wine. So we'll even sometimes do a blend. Every toast and every type of oak has a different type of flavor to it. So we might want that Merlot to have a little more vanilla flavor, a little more smoky flavor, he'll pick the type of barrel that best suits that wine. As you can see, we have a lot of different shapes and sizes of bottles and a lot of different wines. We set up the lines so that the bottle fits most snug. Then we send the bottle through a carousel, of which we get a shot of nitrogen in it, which cleans out the bottle. Then we send it through a filler. That has to be adjusted. Like for instance, this bottle here is 500 milliliters, this bottle here 500 milliliters, but then these are very typical wine bottles of which 750 milliliters, so those have to be adjusted. Then we put in the cork, of which we carry different brands, so we have different inventories. Then capsules. Most of the time it goes through a labeler. And then we send it down the conveyor, put it in a box, send it to the warehouse, and that's where it gets distributed all over New Mexico, some in Arizona and some in Texas.
Choosing the right bottle of wine can be a little overwhelming, especially when there are so many varieties available. So how do you choose the right bottle of wine?
If I were a maker of expensive wines, I would debate this, but a $6 bottle of wine is not 1/10 the quality of a $60 bottle of wine, or a $10 bottle of wine, a $100 bottle of wine. And you can find wines that are $1,000. And a lot of the price in this has more to do with availability and name recognition. It takes a little bit getting to know, what kind of wine you like. Do you like a Cabernet Sauvignon? Do you like a Chardonnay? Do you like a Sauvignon Blanc? Do you like a Riesling? And how do you find that out? Well, just by drinking and trying it. And again, we talk about responsible drinking, and that's important.
When grabbing a bottle of wine, on the front label, you'll always get your varietal, which is a Cabernet. You'll get your region, which is Alexander Valley, which is in California. Your year, which is 2005. And then on the back, it'll tell you a little bit about the wine. This actually is one of my favorite wine. It's a very full-bodied. You get a plum flavor, very strong nose of blackberries. Pretty much being in the restaurant industry as a manager, you've got to learn a little bit about cooking. And pairing wine with food is it just goes hand in hand. It's like a Saturday and a Sunday. It's the best combination. Well, with the food industry, a lot of our foods are made, especially with wines. Instead of using water or oil, a lot of chefs like to use, Cabernet, Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is actually considered a chef's best friend. You can pretty much use it to cook anything, fish, meats. In front of me, I've got a sirloin steak topped with green chili. Now, typically when pairing red and white wines, you're pretty much going to want reds with darker meats, whites with lighter meats. So with this steak, typically you're going to want a nice red wine. Due to its smoked contents, you're probably going to want a Cabernet, something that's aged a little longer in the oak barrel. That'll definitely help bring out the flavor and the smoke. Spicier foods, the tannins actually cause more of a reaction with the spicy food, and you get more of the dry taste. So with the green chili, you could also pair it with a white wine. Perhaps a Pinot Grigio would go well, or a Riesling actually. But typically you're not going to want to pair a white wine with a darker meat. It'd be kind of like pairing milk with spaghetti. Just the textures just don't match. Now we also have vegetables on the plate as well, which would go much better with a white wine due to it's a lighter food, and the acidities in the white wine would pair much better with vegetables. On the other side here, I do have lamb chops, which are marinated in a Pinot Grigio sauce. So this kind of throws a little twist at you. You're still typically not going to want to drink a Pinot Grigio, which is a white wine, with the meat, even though it's marinated in it. Now, also in front of us, we have a chocolate mousse, which is more of a dessert, a lot of sugar, which would go much better with a white wine, with a dessert wine with more of honey attributes due to the less acidity and more of the sweet flavor. But chocolate's also been paired very well with Cabernet as well, due to the smoky flavors. When it comes to pairing foods and wines, it's pretty much up to your own palate.
I think it's well known that wine and cheese goes well together. I think in particular for this event, they chose off dry wines and sweeter wines that go better with fresh cheese. I think it goes well with this type of wine because it's fresh, it's sweeter, it doesn't have that aged flavor where it's salt and very kind of complex. The smoky Gouda would probably go better with a red wine, like a Pinot Noir, or any types of red wines. And the fresher cheeses, I love like the dill and pesto and pine nuts. They're so fresh, I can eat them with a meal and have a glass of wine, and it seems like a good way to end the day.
There are endless ways to enjoy wine, with friends at a party, a glass over dinner, or a special occasion. It's amazing how something so complex can be so simple to enjoy.
I am, I guess I'd say, a wine aficionado, but I think wine is a perfect complement to just about anything you can think of. I started to say for lunch and dinner, but I've had wine with omelets coming in, say after theater or something at night, and you want just something to whip up an omelet, get a nice bottle of wine and some crusty bread, and it's a nice end of the evening treat. So I think wine goes with everything, actually.
But I actually like how a wine introduces the meal. If anything, I prefer that first glass of wine that's in the early part of dining or in the early part of the evening. There's something very pleasurable about a wine on its own. But I guess what it does is it stimulates your appetite, so, so then I'm ready to have something to eat and my second glass of wine.
It's always a little bit of an adventure, but I enjoy browsing through the store. That's probably the place I enjoy window shopping the most. And seeing, oh, I haven't heard of that one. I wonder what it's like. Off the shelf. And most of the time, I'm not disappointed.
It's a very social entity, a social industry. So I get to involve myself with the folks all around the state, all around the country. I'm talking to other associate members throughout the country routinely, and I enjoy that social aspect of the program. And what other industry do you is drinking wine part of what you do on a daily basis?
I have a European background, so I like more dry wine. On the red wine, I like the Syrah, Sangiovese, Cabernet, where it's not too heavy. On the white, I like the Pinot Grigio, Chenin Blanc. And here we have a very good fruit, so we have a very good wine. I like the wine better here than France.
Each wine has its own unique characteristics, and thanks to the hardworking people who dedicate themselves to the craft, we can enjoy every sip.
Like I say, it takes a lot of effort. It's very hard work. It's hard to work in the vineyard when it's 95 degrees or 100 degrees during the summer. Try to take care of those tender crops that you have there. Unfortunately, sometimes we have problems with the weather too. You know, you can have hailstorms and so on, but that is part of agriculture. Everybody can get it.
I am a farmer, so I need something new every year. So I very enjoy being a farmer, more than be a winemaker.
From the vineyard to the bottle, the journey of wine can be discovered in every glass.
Field Trip was made possible by the Cooperative Extension Service at New Mexico State University and by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.
Cheers.
Prost.
Cheers indeed. Thank you.
Just enjoy.
Cheers.
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 Cheers. Cheers. 2010.
So we hope you enjoy our wine as much as we do. Cheers.
If you would like to purchase a copy of this program, please visit krwg.org.